Hi everyone, Dario here with Optional Enterprises, and this is my watch list. It is currently 10:18 on Sunday of July 2019. And I've shortened the watch list this week. I realize my watch lists have kind of been getting longer, but that is generally because I play reversals and then those reversals turn into continuations. So my watch list never really gets shorter. It's just always looking for signals, but I realize that can be kind of daunting for some of you, especially if you're just looking for a quick play. So most of these are going to be just quick plays, and depending whether the market decides to be bullish or bearish this week, that's where you'll want to focus your attention. I expect some consolidation, some distribution, and accumulation for this week. But, I could totally be wrong, but that is just what I am expecting. So, keep an open mind. I'm really not sure whether I want to look to the long or short side this week. I've got to wait till I see Monday's price action. Nevertheless, there are shorts and there are longs in this watch list. I will leave it up to you to decipher. My last few watch lists have done fairly well. So we're going to jump right in and we're going to go back to Abbott Labs. And Abbott Labs, I am still looking for a short, but we want to see it break the 84.32 area before we get short on this for a price target of 80.15, which is about $4.15, which is a great move. Also, I'd be looking at this double top here. See that we opened below, we couldn't close above. So to me, that suggests we've got some pretty strong sellers. We've also see we've got this support in 10 EMA, so that's a pretty critical area. That's why we want to see that break there for the short down to 80.15. All right, ADS. Looks like I said we've got triggered a weekly reversal, and from here it looks like I'm thinking some consolidation onto this 50 EMA, which also happens to be the 23.6 on this fib retracement, which is a great support level. If it can hold that support level, then we might be looking to get long again for a possible rally to 152.43. But this week I will not be looking at it. This was last week's play, and that was a beautiful play. This week we're going to look for some consolidation because we can see that this zone prior also provided some chop. We can see that this also provided a pretty strong support level for this rally, so hopefully we can get this to be our support level again for a rally higher. AEE. I know this chart looks a little daunting, got stuff all over the place. Fibonacci extensions, Fibonacci retracements, a little bit of symmetry going on there. Let's see, my notes say triggered on the monthly reversal. Looks like we had a temporary rally to our fib levels, which we did get. But first, you see I was looking for a rally to these fib levels. You see we're currently holding these fib levels. So that suggests to me on some pretty strong buying that we might be looking for this 77.7 area again. But I'd be watching for a double top. This also, in case you didn't happen to see this, we've also got a pretty nice little head and shoulders going on there. We got our neckline going on right there. If we come back down to that, we see that the neckline is also a long-term support level, trend line. So, this one's a little confusing right now. I'm ultimately short on this one, so we could see this trend line this week. Again, we got to watch for the open to see what happens. We got a pretty strong bearish candle there, but this right here suggests some strong buying. So like I said, we could see that 77 level again, but ultimately I'd be watching for that double top. I think that is the more likely play there. AMC, this finally became interesting. All-time lows was 925. We broke very far below that, got to the low of 9. We see we've got some strong buying here. So I would expect a little bit of selling. Maybe try and consolidate onto those all-time lows. Ultimately though, I like this one for a long. a very short-term long though, because AMC is not having a good time right now. And I'm not talking about just in the chart, I'm talking about in the business world. So, be watching this one close. The options for AMC, you know, you could put whatever. It really depends however you want to play. I'd be willing to put at least $600, $700 into this, buy 10 options, buy yourself a little bit of time, the 12 days, and let it rally 50 cents. Get half of your delta for a $250 win. They're worth 30%. So that's what I think on AMC. We're bullish on this one. We just want to hold. We want to see it hold these lows. We definitely don't want to see it break below this. So that is my thoughts on that. AMT, let's see, we want to see it hold the 10 and 20 for a short-term rally to the 215.04 area. Again, a lot of the charts that I've been looking at look very similar, and there is our head and shoulders. We saw it already break down to our support level 198.90 again, but we had some strong buying pressure there. So I'd be watching this one for this break of this trend line here. If it can break this trend line, then I think we're going to see 215.04 to complete the right shoulder, and then ultimately we're going to see, I think, this one go lower, because this was triggered on the monthly, weekly, which means it's a much longer reversal play, which means this reversal is going to take a little longer to play out. It's not going to be quick like a daily chart, but nevertheless, I'm still short on this one, and I'd like to see 198.90 after we get the buyers exhausted. APT. Let's see, where are my notes? Okay, so it looks like we've got triggered on the weekly for a weekly reversal, and we want to see this thing. We want to enter short if selling begins on the open. So if selling begins on the open, we can see that we opened up lower, rallied into the candle. This is at the top of a pretty large rally. We can see this strong breakout. So ultimately I'm short on this one. I'd like to see 224 as our first price target, but we want to see some confirmed buying, maybe a break of this 10 EMA for a short down to 224. Airconic Inc. Airconic Inc. looks like we were triggering for a weekly reversal, and we can see that we've got lower closes. Also, we're also gapping from our closes. So this one might see a short-term pop. I don't think so though. I think ultimately we want to see it, if we can get it below that 25.36 area, then a short down to the 23.75 and 23.40 areas is pretty likely. So let's should have done that. 25.42. Or a break of the 10 EMA, 25.36. Whichever you prefer. Basically, you just want to see it get below that 25 area, and you can get a good $1.50 short out of it. American Waterworks. Looks like we've got trigger for a weekly and monthly reversal. So again, this is a longer term play. See, we've got a triple top going on here. Some strong buying pressure off the trend and holding the 10 EMA. We want to see it get below this resistance area, 116.29, and below that trend, so we can see a short to possibly 114, then 112. I wouldn't expect too much more out of that. This one does not like to move quickly, but when it does decide to get going, it gets going in the right way. So ultimately, yeah, I'm looking for a short down to the 114s this week, and possibly further 1204 if the momentum really gets moving in our favor. AYX looks like we're triggered for a weekly short position. A conservative play for this one would be for it to break the 110.90 first for a short down to 104.46. That's about a $6.50 move. That's good money for anybody. We also would want to see it. And then next, our aggressive play. I will be watching this one. That's why I've got two plays on this one this week. An aggressive play would be for it to break the 115.31 and stay below it, possibly even close below it, and then for the short to 110.90, which is still about a $4 play. And the options are a little more expensive on this one, but the returns would be great for about $4. You know, you're looking at playing the 120s, 62-cent delta. 62 cents on $4 move is about $2.40, so about a 30% return. Not horrible money. It's usually what I like to get on my swings at 30%. Every now and then we stumble into some nice ones, the 100% winners, 100, 200% winners, like our Tesla, our ADS plays last week, and the week before that, the Roku and the Shopify. So, you know, at least once a week I find a 100% winner. This one will turn into a 100% winner. This is going to be a long comer though. Like I said, this is a weekly, so the play is a little longer, which requires a little more patience for it to play out. AutoZone, this is a lottery ticket for me, so we're not going to go over this one. That one is just one I'm keeping an eye on. I think it's close to a sell, and when AutoZone likes to sell, it sells quick. So, alright, so Baidu, let's see, we triggered daily reversal, hold short-term trend for a rally to the price targets. So essentially we want to see it hold this trend line here, which has done a pretty good job of. We found support here. We'd like it to hold this little support level here. At the very minimum, we want to see it hold this trend line for a rally back up to 123.27. Berkshire Hathaway. I think this one is looking good for a short. 213.17 is my price target on that one. I think you get a little bit of pop, but I don't want to see it break the 215.89 area. If it breaks that 215.89, I'd wait for it. Ultimately though, I still think this one is a great opportunity for a short. You want to project this pullback up here, because this happens to be a symmetry play. So CME looks like we're looking for a triggered monthly reversal, and we're looking for a double top here. So CME, we're looking for it to get back up to the 204.86 area. We can get back up to that 204.86 or 204.56. My fib levels are actually off for whatever reason. So we can break that. If we can get back up to that 204.56 area, then I'd be looking for a short back to 199.16. Again, we want to see some good selling pressure there. So this one's a setup for a short, not immediately though, because, well, CME, we can see that CME pretty strong, right? So they're not going to let this one go without a fight. CenturyLink. It's like we were triggered on the weekly reversal. We got that reversal. We want to see it hold the trend and support for a rally to 1274. So that's going to be our price target for this week, 1274. I don't know if it's going to get there because the market has rallied pretty strongly this week, and like I said, I think some accumulation, some distribution is what's going to be happening this week. So I think minor corrections. So I don't think focusing on longs this week is going to be our best shot. I think focusing on some short-term corrections on some of our short charts are going to be the way to go. Dollar General. Dollar General, I like for a pullback. Watching for that double top. You see we've broken the 139.78. Ultimately, I still think this one comes back down to the 236. So just let me quickly readjust this one to reflect current price action. Also, yeah, the retracement I want to adjust, retracement and the extension. So 137.60, I would say, so long as we see some strong selling pressure, maybe see it break the 139.16 area first, and I would use that as a chance to go short. DVA. So DVA looks like we were triggered on the daily for a reversal, and usually the daily price action happens a little quicker, but that also means that the play is a little quicker, meaning it doesn't last as long. So we're looking for a rejection off this 59.58 area, and then a break of this trend line, and then possibly for a pullback back to 57.86. So this one's kind of a little more thought out. Dailies, this one probably happened this week. So I think 57.86 is our price target for this one if we don't get that immediate sell. If we get the immediate sell and it breaks this 57.86 and the trend line, then the fallback could be down here around 55.98. EFT. Looks like we were triggered for a weekly reversal. So this one, we want to see it break. Oh, this was last week's notes. I didn't actually edit this one because nothing really changed. I wanted to see it break this trend line last week. We could not break it. We can see we're staying within the range of this candle though. Ultimately, we want to see it break the 164.94 area for a short to 160.67. So we want to see it get out of the range of this candle. We can see it's holding pretty well for a 50% retracement of this candle. We're holding within the 50% retracement. We start getting below that, then we start watching it for the 164.94. Again, we're watching for volume on this one because the volume is a telltale sign, because this one is a light float stock. So when it gets moving pretty quick. Fidelity National Informational, FIS 126. Okay, so we want to see it bounce off this 127 for a break down to 124.57. This is also triggered on a monthly, weekly, and daily, so this is a pretty strong setup. I know most people would look at this and be like, yeah, I don't think so. But after studying with my indicators for a while, I've learned to trust them, and I still think this one is great for a, we'll say it looks like about a $2.50 short. So $2.50 on FIS. FIS kind of expensive. You see it's got a $5 range for the strike prices, but you wanted to get into the 125s, you still got 12 days of time. It's going to cost you about $5 a day to hold that. So, whatever, buy 10 of them for 840 bucks and, pay 50 bucks a day. If that move happens at $2.50 on a 32-cent delta, $1 will pay for it. The next dollar is your profit. Glue Mobile. I know I've been talking about this one for like 20,000 years. I know. I don't understand how this one is consolidating so long. This one was triggered for a daily reversal, and the daily was actually triggered there. We got the reversal, and then just a sell off again. But someone's holding it right there at this support level. So maybe we see 783. I'm not sure why I keep this one here, and that is why, because the options are cheap, the open interest is huge for the calls, and that's why I keep watching it. So this one could be this week Uh, Again, watch it for volume. We want to see some strong volume before we get into this. We see some pretty bullish candles here. Somebody keeps buying it up. That's getting ready for a pop. Halliburton. So oil recently has been doing a little distribution. You can see we had that strong rally up, and we are holding our major trend line here, which is good news. So this was going to go for my Exxon and my Halliburton, which are the two stocks that I'm watching for oil. I think this is going to be the week for oil. Want to watch the futures. Halliburton moves a little slower than Exxon. The moves are not as great. These are a much tighter range, but you know what they say, a tighter range leads to a much better rally. So Exxon could have already been played out. You see it has much better price action, but we can see that we're consolidating above that support level. So I believe Halliburton and Exxon will move together. So we've got a nice strong candle holding the 10 and the 20 here. We've got a cross. I don't really rely too much on the crosses of these, but they do tend to leave good signals. But I think this one, we can break this resistance level of 23.26. Be looking for it to get back above this 23.69 and ultimately maybe up to the 24.69. It's about $1.50. And again, Halliburton options, pretty nice spread, very cheap, not expensive to hold. You can see 1 cent. That is a beautiful thing. So Halliburton you could definitely mess around with. That's why I picked Halliburton. Exxon a little more expensive, but that's because it moves a little more. So you're looking at 3 cents versus, or around 4 cents versus the 1 cent for Halliburton. So at the end of the day, which one's really a better return on your money? I think, well, it just depends how you think. For me, I like ones that cost me less to hold, because the cost to carry, well, it's just less. That to me, that's better. But you know, some people, they don't mind paying a little more for a larger move. That's up to you. I like Halliburton. Exxon's still triggered, got the same trigger as Halliburton, so that's why it's on my list. HGV. This one looks like it has triggered a daily reversal. We want to see it stay below this candle. You know, even the high of the wick. Usually I like to go with the open for red candles. Stay below that open. If we can stay below that open, I think we're going to see 30.78 this week. Hershey, we're looking for a double top on Hershey. So we don't want to see it get above, I don't know why I didn't do that. We don't want to see it get above that 138.32. At least we don't want to see it close above it. It's okay if it goes above it, but because we see we've got some wicks going on over here. But if it closes above that, then I'd be leery of entering shorts. I do think this is a short back down to the 135.34 area though. ICE, Intercontinental Exchange Incorporated. I believe this one's a short down to support 74.41. I do believe it's going to hold this trend line. Illumina, I said last week this was a short, but I was a little leery of it because it had some good news. So you can see the first, we got a little bit of a sell, a little more of a sell, but then it ultimately just rallied higher. I think this is the week for Illumina to be entering on for a short position. I'd be looking for 372.40 this week, so that is about a $5.80 move. Yeah, that's what I think on this one. The candle is definitely a bullish candle though, but we're at the top of a trend, so I think 137.46 is what we're looking for this week. Info, IHS Market. Didn't do a whole lot of research on this one, so I don't really know what's going on with it. You can see we've got a flag pattern here though, so that is always a continuation trend, but given the strength of this rally, I do not believe that this flag pattern will end up playing out, but we want to see it break the 64.41 area for a pullback to the 10 EMA or the 62.86 area. INGR looks like we wanted to break resistance for a rally to the price target, so that hasn't changed. We want to see it hold above the 83.38 for a rally to 86.65. JWN, I believe this is in fact a buy now. We had a little bit of a fake out here, but we're holding this long-term support around 30.92. So we're holding the 10 EMA. I think I'd want to see it break this 33 area before I decide to get long into this for a rally to 33.77. The options on JWN are a little expensive, but not expensive to hold. 3 cents a day, still, for an 80-cent option, kind of expensive, but not too horrible, especially if we get the move that we're looking for, that the volatility suggests. KMX, CarMax Inc. Looks like we were triggered for a weekly and daily reversal. So I think we could see a pullback to the trend line this week. We want to see it break that 87.76 area for a short down to probably the 86.90s area. We break that trend line though, which is ultimately what I'm looking for. Break that trend line, break the support, break that trend line. We want to see 84.87. So that's about a $2.40 move. Good money. CarMax is pretty tight as far as the spread goes, so a little more expensive, but you definitely want to get this one right because we got a 6-cent theta on this. So wait for confirmed selling pressure, break that 87.76 at the bare minimum, and you can probably get in for the short down for 84.87. Kohl's Corporation. Kohl's Corporation looks like we have broken that resistance. We are holding above it. So long as we can hold above that resistance level, I think we see 51.15 this week. LMT. I am short on, I believe. Let me look at my... Yeah, looks like I've got a triggered on the daily for a reversal to 361.79. MAC looks like triggered on the weekly reversal, so this one's a little bit of a slower play, but we want to see it break that 10 EMA. If we can break that 10 EMA, then we're looking for 34.53. The 10 EMA is currently at 33.39, so that's about $1 on MAC. MAC's got not a whole lot of interest on it. Yeah, but the theta is great. So, a small play on this one for some small account players. But again, patience. You want to wait for it to break that 10 EMA for that rally up to 34.53. MDB. Looks like MDB, I've got this one on consolidate, leave alone. So I don't have no good indication of what's going to happen with this one this week. MDT. Looks like we're consolidating on this 96. Again though, another thing to be wary of. We've seen a lot of these pop up recently, and a lot of them end up playing out, but they play out only to bring up a rally higher. But given the current condition of the market and its strong rally, I think consolidation and accumulation, distribution is going to be what's happening this week, because they want to try and push it higher. We're going to have to see and wait for price action. Again, I think this one consolidates on the 96.50s area. If it can't hold that, then we're looking for a short down to the trend line. So depending when it breaks, the fall could be much tighter. But I think Medtronic goes higher ultimately. Whoa. Let's get off my drawing. And Mosaic. So Mosaic has done quite well for us. Been watching this one for, well, essentially since this started, and we've caught pretty much all these little pops. If you've been watching along with my last watch lists, see that we met our price target last week. Basically, we want this to hold. We want this to hold our EMAs. So the 10, the 20, and the 50. We want all of those to hold. We'd like to see it hold this price target of 24.76. We can get it to hold there with some increased buying volume. I think we could see 25.68. Ultimately, I would like to see this one get up to 27.31. I realize that's a little generous and a little bit of a stretch for this one given the state of this rally, but I think it can get there. But we just want to hold on, watch, be patient, see some consolidation. We might see a little bit of a pullback down to this 24.15 area, but I think it can get there. NEO. So this one I've been watching for a while. I actually played it. I played it right here on the 27th. Lost $500 because it sold off into this support level, held that support level, took off. Couldn't be more angry at myself for it, but that's what happened, and that is where we are now. I have no recommendations on NEO. This I think it was the hour chart, maybe. Yeah, so if you look at the hour chart, you see we've got kind of a flag pattern, but this is an ascending triangle, so that might continue. But you know, this one psyched me out once already, so I'd be cautious with this one. The price target was met, and I think we've got some anxious people wanting to get out of any positions of, you know, somebody who's holding. I think I'd just be cautious with this one. The money's cheap, that's why I like to play it. It's even better for holding. You can see the really light theta. So, you know, tight spreads, that's primary reason why I got into this, especially for smaller accounts. These are the types of things that you're looking for. You want to see low theta, cheap money to get in, but that is what that is what these things do. Yeah, I've got a whole list of stocks like this, but they don't like to move. But when they do move, it just requires a little patience with NEO. I think NEO is on its way up, but I'd be waiting for maybe some retracement before I decide to get back into NEO. Paycom. Let's see what I have written for Paycom. So it looks like if we can hold this 239.33 area, we're looking for a fall to the trend line, which is this trend line right here, the blue one, the short-term trend line. Breaks trend, we're looking for a short to support of 227.41. So ultimately it looks like I'm short on this one. I don't know why I didn't write what chart time it was. Oh, triggered on the weekly and monthly reversal. So this one's again a longer term play. So a little patience for these, but when they work out, you can see they work out big. Paysign. Let's see what my notes say for Paysign. So it looks like it was triggered on the monthly reversal. We're looking for some increased selling volume. We want to see it stay below this resistance level for a short back to support, which is 12.74. Paysign, not great for spreads, but we see we've got some pretty large open interest right there. These could be option sellers. Give you just a second to find out. Yeah, so the volatility is high. So probably not sellers. These are probably buyers, and you might see these guys lightening up on positions this week. So you want to keep a close eye on the volume right here. You can see further out we don't have a lot of interest. So be watching the volume for this one. We want to see these numbers lighten up. You can see my custom think script here. This think script tells me whether this number increased or decreased. So I'll be watching closely for that number this week. If I can start seeing some decreasing, then it means people are closing out their call positions. those calls start getting lightening up on, then that is yours also would be another signal to go short. Ultimately, I still think this one's a short based on the technicals, and we're going to see what happens. So next one, Procter & Gamble. Procter & Gamble, we played, I think it was last week, no, the week before. The week before we played off this, we got this short right there, and that was great for us, only to have it rally higher. But you can see that we have got this is pretty strong. People bought it, so this strong sell here, our buy here, tells me that we might see this one go higher. Let's see what I wrote for my notes though. Long-term short end. So long-term, yeah, monthly reversal. So the this is looking for a monthly reversal. We want to see it break this support level, this trend line. This is a pretty critical area. You can see that break. We're going to see 109.49, then 108.18. Those are price targets 1 and 2. But we've got some strong buying here, so we're going to have to see and wait for price action on this one. But this is a long-term short position. PLNT. Looks like we were triggered on the monthly and weekly. We want to see a price rejection of the downtrend, which we got on Friday. We want to see that continue, and if we can get that continuation of this rejection of this price pattern right here, then we're looking for 73.73 and then 68.13. If you were a little more conservative, wait for that break of 73.73 and then go short for the 68.13 target. Okay, Roku. Let's see what I wrote for Roku. We got triggered weekly and daily reversal. That is old. Ultimately, this is a long-term short, I believe. But this week, we're looking for it to hold the 10 and 20 EMA for continuation of this short-term pop. Since we did break above this long-term trend, we're respecting this trend line. Broke above an old support level. If it holds that, then we could be looking for 101.15 this week. And C limited looks like this one is simple. I'm looking for a short to 34.06 this week, so watch for some volume and looking for that short down to 34.06. It's about $1.60, $1.54, $55 move. C limited is a little more expensive. Theta is a little expensive to hold, so you want to get this one right. But still, I like it for a short. Shopify. Okay, so Shopify, last week I told you we were looking for 312.70. We got the 312.70. We are currently holding at that 312.70, so this is kind of a critical area. If we can hold this and break above this trend line here, see if I can bring that down, make it a little more easier. Yeah, so if we can break this trend line here, hold this one, then we could be seeing a rally higher. I do not believe that's what's happening here though. Although we got this short term, we got this pop down to the 200 on the hour. So this one could, if we see that, then we're definitely going to go higher. Might see the 326 areas. That's a little bit of a stretch for this one. Maybe 322 first. Yeah. So if we break this downtrend here, then we're looking for 322.23. I don't think it's going to go much higher than that though. Ultimately, I think Shopify is a long-term short, and I wrote that in my notes. I've got a target of 265. This is a new one that I added this week. You can see it's a little marked up here. We got triggered for a strong trigger on the daily reversal, meaning the indicator is pointing to a strong possibility that we're going to get a short-term pullback on this one. We might see a rally to the 618 fib price projections, or a price target of 1235. Wait for the rejection there and look for the increased volume for a target of 1125 and then 1075 as our second target. State Street, this one is still setting up. I alerted this one last week. It was one of my top 3 picks. If you remember, ADS and TSLA were my two, and STT were my three picks for last week. Two of them worked out great. This one taking a little longer. Got some conservative players in this one, but with their new fund starting up, I don't see why this one won't break out higher. It looks like it's setting up for it. We want to see it break that resistance level 57.82 for the rally to 63.48. I think now, seeing how this one is working though, 63.48 may be a little generous because this one does not like to move. Got some very conservative players, but what financial company doesn't? It's been my experience that if you watch the ETF XLF, those symbols do not like to move rationally, I guess you would say. AT&T, I'm looking for a break of this resistance for a short. And we might be seeing 33.81. So AT&T is not a great short, but I still think it's ultimately a longer term short here. I'm just going to say no recommendations on AT&T right now because I did not even draw my trends, so nothing there. TBT, looking to get long on this one. Want to see it establish support and trend lines. Obviously this is the inverse of the TLT, so it's going to greatly depend on what bonds do, but given that interest rates they were Thursday, the interest rates were actually below consumer inflation, so you were actually earning less on bonds than the inflation, which means just bonds typically were not a great investment. But we see we got that large pop there, so that brought us back up to the 2.48. I think 2.25 is where this thing's headed anyway, unless of course we get those rate cuts that everybody seems to think is going to happen. But so you want to keep your eye on the interest rates, the federal fund rates, see what happens with that. But this thing is usually pretty easy to predict because it's got to stay within a certain range. It can't start going below, otherwise it's like a huge problem in the world. So next one is Teva. I'm looking for consolidation this week. Did not get our price target. Again, this one is still a good money maker. Options are fairly cheap, and it doesn't get a whole lot. There's not a lot of chop in this one. Once it gets going, it moves. You can see all the open interest, which is a pretty big reason that I'm playing it. You can see that we've got the eights. You got a large seller right there. So that tells you, within the next 2 weeks, this thing probably isn't going to see the eights again. They want, these max pain effect, which the market will move in the direction that it causes the most options to expire worthless. That's pretty reliable. I know I use it a lot, at least in my examinations, but I'm expecting consolidation for this one. Look for support to be established around this 943. We got a 6-day historical volatility low though, so looking for a mean reversion. So if this one can find the support, then mean reversion suggests that 1096 is what we're looking for. Target. It looks like I have no notes on target, so we are not going to go over it. TLT. So TLT, I think this one's ultimately a short. I think we see. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm like 1 day behind. I still think this one's a short. 130.23 is, I think, what we're looking for. We might see this thing try and get back up to 133.24. I don't think we break that, so maybe hold off on this one, see what it's going to do. Market's opening Monday and Tuesday will ultimately determine what happens with this. You can see we've had some pretty volatile sessions with this one, but you can see all these gaps higher. I think we see 130.23 this week. Tesla. So this one was a great play for us last week. If you caught it, I'm happy for you. This one was a pretty good moneymaker. This one I'm looking for some consolidation. We want to see it consolidate on this support and trend line. We might even see some selling into this one after that pretty good move, but we can see we've got some strong selling here, so that's why I think consolidation. Ultimately, we're looking for this thing to go higher. I don't want to see it break 241.65 before I look for 259.25. Twilo, looks like we're triggered for the monthly and reversal. Ultimately, I still think this one is a short to support. You can see we're holding the 10 and the 20 though, so we might get a little bit of a rally here. Not a rally, but a pop-up before we get that short back to support. I'd just be watching that one. This one is a longer term play, so ultimately this one I think is going to go lower, down to 121.60. UNG, I am going to leave this one alone. That is only because this little price play right here threw me for a loop. I thought it was going to hold there and then make it to 2053. We ended up selling off first and then breaking to 2053. So UNG, I'm just going to leave that one alone. Don't know what that's going to do. Gotta watch it. Viva Systems. So triggered for a weekly and monthly reversal. Ultimately, I think we want to see it break this support for a short back down to, the trend line might be a little bit generous. I think maybe 154.94. But I definitely want to see it break this 164.20 before I start thinking about anything on this one. Weibo, this one's been setting up for about 3 weeks now. This one could, although we did meet our price target, because we've been playing off this multi-year support. You see we've gotten 3 opportunities to play off this multi-year support. Basically, we want to see it hold this trend line, break this price target again, and we can start seeing somewhere around the 50-52s area. World Play. So World Play, this one looks like trigger for a weekly reversal. Want to see it break this first support level though, 125.82. Can break that first support, I'd be looking for 119.43. Wynn Resorts. So Wynn Resorts, we want to see this hold the trend and rally. So basically we want to see it hold this. I don't think that's what it's going to do. I think this is last week's. You can see that we're getting some pretty strong resistance at the 618. If we can't hold that, then I think we're going to break this trend line and pull back to the 200 EMA, or this fib level here, 127.16. So this week I think we see 127.16, but I think it's going to hold there for a possible rally higher. Exxon, I already explained this one. Again, I'll go over one more time. Pretty much the same play as Halliburton. See, we've got a pretty nice little flag pattern there. We want to see it consolidate on this 75.37 area. I'd like to see it break the 76.72 before I enter long for a rally up and above the 200 EMA. I'd like to see 79.78 for Exxon. ZS, looks like we're triggered for a monthly reversal, triggered a weekly reversal as well. We want to see it break this 82.25 area, 82.25, and we could see down to 79.72 or this trend line. So that is it for my watch list this week. Remember, watch price action on Monday. We want to see who's going to take control. Will it be the commodities? Will it be the bonds? Will it be the equities? If equities decide to go short, focus on the short positions. If equities decide to go long, focus on your long positions. And that is all I have for Sunday. I'll be at it again Monday. I'll be posting my wins, losses on my Instagram, and of course on my TikTok channel. Alright guys, have a great rest of your weekend. Thanks for watching. I hope this helps somebody.